Good morning. And first, I want to wish all you mothers out there, you special mothers, a happy Mother's Day. Today is Mother's Day, and we'd like to be with our children. I'm sad to say that CPS kind of interferes with that. I don't think CPS even believes in mothers. All of you that joined my room, I want to welcome you all. You're here to fight CPS with me, your podcast host, Bob Pace. And I welcome you all. There's several ways that you can interact. The first way is you can text a message into me. I love to have questions about CPS. All I ask is you put your name and you put the list your city and state and country. That's right, I said country because I do have people from around the world that contact me. I've had Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, Ghana, which is in South America, near Venezuela, north of Brazil. Then there is also Mexico, Mozambique, which is in Africa, near Somalia, and Denmark. So there is trouble around the world with CPS. I know what you're going through is a difficult time. I've been there. I know exactly the difficult time that you're going through. And I'm feel for you because 14 years ago, I started getting calls from CPS, and for 5 years, they kept on actually harassing you because they thought these allegations that were called in by a layperson, which was my in-laws, my family, that never wanted me to marry their daughter. I've been there. We've been together for 35 years, 6 children, 3 older ones, but the younger ones, they were determined to try to take them from me. And it was hard. It's really sad that happened there. It wasn't really into 2000. See, in 2010, with my story, I lost a job at age 60 through no fault of my own. And they took advantage of that because I was trying to look for work, trying to keep paying my mortgage. I owned a home and a very expensive home, lots of mortgage there. But for whatever reason, they just were really mean to my wife. They treated her bad as she was growing up. She was abused. Her brother raped her. And then she got raped at a concert because she was so young and her sister wasn't protecting her. She had a child, gave it up for adoption, and then she raped again on a date rape. And she kept that child, and she later became my daughter. who's grown up and has a family of her own and doing quite well. But this latest episode against me was wrong. CPS is very evil. They're very deceptive. They're not very friendly. They don't believe in family reunification. And with that being said, they're not transparent. They're very deceitful, and they have a lie. They took my children, and they weren't in extreme danger. That's what's so sad. Anyway, in 2015, they used a trick method by using the police to con me to come to my home, and I did all the wrong things. There's some rules I'm going to tell you about that I did wrong. I violated my own rules. I wish I knew what I knew now back then. But I'm here to help you. The purpose of this podcast is relate what happened to me and maybe share the story with you. Also, some ideas. I'm not a professional attorney, and I'd love to help you. Um, it's very difficult because a lot of you face the fact you don't have much money and you don't have knowledge about who's CPS. CPS is a child protection system. I use that acronym to mean all the agencies in all the states. I've talked to over 500 people in all 50 states. They have something in common. Their children are taken and there's no family reunification. It's all because of money. It's a $50 billion business. That's right, $50 business. Um, okay. I know it's hard to imagine. Everybody's case is different and so forth. Now, there's several ways you can interact with this podcast. One way is to text a message in, and as I was telling you, just type in your name and your country and your city and so forth. Ask a question about CPS. Another way is you can call in at 626-698-0990, and you can talk live on the show. I'll put you on speakerphone. You won't be on camera, but you'll be on speakerphone. The third way is that you can email my producer, who's Grace. She works behind the scenes, and she'll help you get on my show as a guest. My show is, 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday, twice a day, once in the morning at 10 o'clock for an hour Pacific Standard Time, and at nighttime, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The only difference is this morning on Sundays, I start at 8 o'clock instead of at 10. I start at 8 o'clock instead of at 10. So just email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com, and tell them you want to be on my morning show or on Saturday or my evening show on Monday. You just tell her and she'll arrange it so you can be a guest on my show. I do have guests from time to time and enjoy having the guests there. Those are three ways that you can be on my show. And I know your case is hard, and one of the hardest thing about is you're facing an agency that is so corrupt. I mean, you're like Alice in Wonderland. You've fallen in a rabbit hole and you'd gone through all these doors that open to nothing. You talk to people that don't make sense. And it's a spider in CPS that is weaving a web around you and pulling you in. It's not a very happy thing at all. Um, One of the things that will really help you, and I want to get these rules out of the way because we'll have some people that would like to text or talk. And so, rule number one is that you need to find an attorney. You're probably saying, well, I can't afford one. And I know how hard it is. I didn't have an attorney for my first year and a half. And I tried to fight them by going to the director in his Taj Mahal building, the Emerald Green City. And when in one year, went out the other year. The director and all the managers, supervisors were hopeless in my case. They were hopeless in my case. They just didn't work out. And so I want to share with you an idea that can help you find an attorney. It's the way you use the internet and the way you arrange your words is the best way to describe it. The best way to describe it. Um, uh, um, so let's say you live in a city outside in Texas, outside Dallas. So we say it's fine, and let's say it's uh, uh, Podunk is your city you live in, and the biggest city is Dallas. So you find in Podunk and Dallas a pro bono. It's very important you say the word pro bono. That means an attorney that doesn't charge. A pro bono attorney, but you want to say a pro bono family law attorney. Family law does cover dependency court. And you're going to get a list of names, and hopefully there's at least 10 to choose from. You're going to pick 10 that meet that criteria, and then you're going to call those 10 to find out a couple things. One, if they're in business. Two, if they're a pro bono attorney. Three, if they've fought CPS. Four, if they've fought in dependency court. Those are important things to know because you're going to pick 5 from the 10 to do a consultation to find out more and see if the chemistry and so forth. So it is hard because it is involving money, and money is hard to come by. I recognize that. Okay. Um, so you call that list of 10, and this is hard. It's Mother's Day. Even though I'm a father, I know how hard it is for my wife not to be with her girls and me not to have our family together. It's so sad. It's so sad. Um, so after you've talked to 10 attorneys and you found five of them that meet that criteria, they're in business, they have fought CPS, they have fought dependency court, and that they are pro bono. Now you can do a consultation. And the attorney I like to recommend of the five is Vincent W. Davis. He's the one that produces this show. He can be reached at 888-888-6582. Or the ticket across the screen. You can do the internet and reserve a spot to see. He will do a consultation for $60 for 30 minutes. $60 for 30 minutes. And you can consult with him. He's the best there is. And if you like him, you may want to retain him if the chemistry is good, but he'll do your job. He has gotten back two of my children. I had three that were trafficking by CPS. Yes, I mean trafficking. They're a bad entity. They will traffic your children into foster care system. They'll traffic your children into foster care system. And your children will be abused in foster care system. I know this all firsthand from talking to over 500 people. But please call Vincent Davis. It will relieve you, and you'll be able to. He'll give you strategies, even though you don't retain him. He'll give you strategies how to fight CPS. But you need an attorney, and why I mean that is that it's like if you know anything about open heart surgery, where you have to have your heart on, you're going to get a doctor to do open heart surgery. You're not going to get a plumber or auto mechanic or a layperson to cut you up and work on your heart. Well, that's the same thing about CPS. You need a professional attorney that can navigate through all the mazes that CPS does. They don't help you. You don't know how that works. CPS is a nightmare of a place, especially when they don't play by their own rules and they do not respect your Constitution or your civil rights. They hate seniors. They hate elderly people. They hate parents. They lie. They alienate your children from you. They'll do all they can. It's all because they want that $20,000 per child per month to support the $50 billion business. The social workers are given bonuses for keeping your children in the system. My social worker is a young social worker, not married, does not have a degree, um, was not trained. And at age 24, she's holding your life in her hands. It is sad. Social workers need to be trained in clinical psychology and social work. I think they should get a degree in clinical psychiatry and they should get a minor in social work. They also should have a certificate or a license as renewable so they keep up to date with new material. And also, when they should be in the system, they should be mentor for 5 years. They should take all the parenting classes, all the programs, so they're familiar with them. They should also mentor the social worker for 5 years to learn how the best to show respect and be kindness to parents. That isn't the case. These social workers will lie to you and lead you on. It is sad. It is so so sad. Um, I know I'm not talking so energetic, and I apologize for that. It's hard. I do these podcasts day after day, twice a day. I do have a co-host. She said she'd be here with me, but it's Mother's Day, and it's important that they're with their children and with their families and stuff. So anyway, rule number one, you got to get that attorney and you got to get them aboard. I waited too late and lost my daughter. My social worker took revenge on us as a family and threatened to take her children. She did. She told her daughter, "You're going to divorce your parents, your brothers, your family members like grandparents and relatives and stuff," and she did. The social worker told her to change her name, and she did. The social worker told her to seal her birth certificate, and she did. And lastly, she said, "You're going to get adopted," and she did. And that was all at age 12. She's 21 now. She doesn't be with the foster care parents. They did something really bad, and I don't know. I've not talked to her since she's 12 and being 21, but I want to wish her a happy Sunday. As my whole family, I want to wish them a happy Sunday. So that's the importance of having an attorney. If you try to deal with a court appointed attorney, keep in mind, they will hardly work for you. They're not well trained, they're very young, inexperienced, and they have a caseload of 30 some clients. So they don't have the time for what they need. They won't meet with you ahead of time, they only show up at the hearings, and they very effortlessly try to do some things, but they're not there for you. They're pushing things around. They're friends of the social worker, attorneys, the judge, and everything. So, using a court appointed attorney, I tried. It didn't work. I tried from experience. It does not work. So, that's my rule number one. Now, rule number two is kind of a boring one. Um, yeah. Um, you need to get a notebook, get a 3-inch ring binder, and stuff it full of paper. Stuff it full of paper. And you want to get some subject tabs. And on the first one, you want to write about incidents. Now, these incidents are things that have happened to you from the start of the case. You write down the date, the time when the incident happened, and you write down the people that were involved in the incident on the first line. On the the next couple lines, you write what the incident was about. Then after that, you want to write down the outcome. If you don't know the outcome, leave it blank, leave a couple lines. After the first incident, you skip a couple lines, write your second one, and then your third one and fourth, and keep repeating it because you'll need to come back and look at it later. You want to use a highlighter, pink or yellow works good. That highlights different things you want to go back and look at. You'll need this for the life of your case. Your case may be a year. Mine was 3 years. It's not going to get over simple unless you get an attorney, and you need to get an attorney right away. You need to get an attorney right away. It's uh, it's very very important. Um, so you fill out that first the incidents. The next tab would be your parenting classes and your programs, and you want to put down uh, anything that related to events. It's your event tab. If you've taken drug tests, you want to list them down. If you've done any programs, you list them down and so forth. And um, so that's the second tab. The third tab would be your info tab, where you put down all the websites and phone numbers and contacts you have there. And your remainder tabs you make yourself to how you want it to do it. It should be something that works for you, that you can find things and stuff. And so, um, I know this is very dry material and it's hard. It's very, very, very hard material. Rule number 3 is the most important one because that's where you got to say no. And I want to talk about a story that was in the news recently about a 24-year-old Air Force airman that was brutally killed when he opened the front door of his home. I know there's a lot of innuendos, but I've seen the body cam from the sheriff that knocked on the door, and it was sad. This is about opening your door to strangers. Police are strangers. You don't know what's on the other side. Well, the sheriff didn't announce on his first knock, so that alerted the guy inside that maybe it's trouble. So he had a gun, but he didn't have it raised. He had it at his side because maybe the neighborhood was a troubled neighborhood and so forth. But anyway, the sheriff knocked again, very gruffly said he was a sheriff. The guy opens the door. He didn't have a gun drawn on the sheriff. The sheriff point blank shot him not once, but several times. I don't know what's with the police. I don't know. They're supposed to be marksmen. Why can't they shoot someone in the foot or the leg to have them come to the ground? Why do they have to kill them all the time? It's always multiple shots. Some are ridiculously shots. And it's definitely to the heart. And it's to kill. Yes, policemen are killed all the time, opening doors and stuff like that. I realize that. But this guy was shot down and he was talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime. And he was dying on the phone with her. She had to watch the whole thing. You don't know what tragedy that is. Here is a young man. The incident, there was some type of disturbance. The person that was bringing him to the apartment wasn't sure where or what disturbance was going on. But, it's definitely, you don't open the door. If he didn't open the door, then he would have been fine. He would have been fine. It was just really sad. It's a tragedy. So my rule number 3 is you don't open doors to anybody, police or social workers. You don't open them to a stranger. You don't. That's what the purpose of a peephole is. Or if you don't have such a thing, you have a mailbox. You have a phone. If people want to get in touch with, they know how to get in touch with you. They do not have to go in the home. The only time that police or social workers come to home if there's immediate danger, meaning if a child is being bashed against the wall, there's a shootout, there's some type of violence going on, they have the right. But otherwise, they need a court order to come into your home. They need a court order, and it's got to be a warrant, and it's got to be specifically spelled out on the warrant what they're doing, what the allegations are, what the children are, with the person they're investigating, the address, the date and time they can enter the home. It's got to be signed by a judge with a wet signature. That's very important. Now, a lot of times, if you have a window next to the door, you can look at the window and ask them to display the warrant. But I choose not to do that either because, they may shoot the window out at you. So I would be quiet. They usually leave a card or something behind you, and you want to contact attorney and call them back because they'll be out again. They'll be out again. Maybe you want to take your children to a family member in another state for protection because they will be after your child. They don't care about your constitutional family rights. They wouldn't help you do a safety plan to put your child with a family member. They want to get them into foster care right away, either in a shelter, a group home, or a single family home. It's sad that the social workers and police use such deceptive tactics to get your children. It's wrong. It's certainly wrong. Hi there, Pang. Um, I have an ongoing case for 2 years now with CPS. Oh, good. The judge terminated my parental rights and placed my kids for adoption. I've done everything they asked, like the classes, and showed progress. What's my next step after being terminated? You need to appeal. You need to appeal. Hopefully, you didn't sign any paperwork that you agreed to the adoption or the termination. Um, you can appeal. Also, you can fight the adoption. I did. I fought the adoption. Again, you need an attorney. Now, my question is what city and state are you from? What city and state are you from? And by the way, happy Mother's Day, Pang. Happy Mother's Day. So you need to appeal the termination. And of course, you need an attorney for that. If you want to call in and talk, you can call in at 626-698-0990. You're from Fresno, you're up north, California. I'm in Southern California, and I've had several people call from Fresno area. It's bad, and I'm sorry to hear that. This is Mother's Day. You should be with your children, and it's really hard on you. I feel for you, Pang. But if you make an appeal for your wrongful termination, you can appeal that decision. If they try to go to adoption, you can appeal the adoption. You can fight the adoption. You are the biological parents. It is proven the biological parents are the best parents being with your children. What allegations were you accused of doing to your children to warrant a termination? Um, yeah, that is a hard thing. Child abuse, okay. And how were you abusing how were they saying you abused your child? Was it um, neglect, or was it uh, well, it's abuse, but was it physical? What was the abuse of the accusation of Peg? What kind of abuse they're alleging you did to your children? And how old are the children, too? How old are the children? Wow. And what were the physical injuries caused by? How did the physical injuries caused by? And how old are the children? How old are the children? Okay, the way you have to appeal is this is a court of law, and a court of law uses attorneys. It's very hard for a layperson who is an attorney to fight in court. You need to know the laws. You need to know how to present your case, how to argue your case, how to list your exhibits and demonstrate to the judge that you are innocent of these charges. That's where attorney comes into play. You probably were presented with a public defender that didn't work out, but you're going to have to find an attorney. If you don't have money for an attorney, you need to find a pro bono attorney. That's an attorney that works without money. So you're from Fresno, California. So you type in find in Fresno, California, a pro bono family law attorney. You'll see a list of names come up. And then from there, you can contact them. And you need to find out if, of course, they're in business and they don't charge and they have fought in dependency court and they have fought CPS. Those are important questions to ask. And then you have a consultation with them and see if they'll defend your case. I know the court in Fresno is pretty bad. My attorney went up to fight a case and they were so mean to him. So I know you have a tough road ahead, a very, very tough road ahead. Uh, um, so you need to get that attorney to file the paperwork. I mean, time is not on your side and you need to act quickly. You need to file at least a motion that you appeal determination of your rights. And you have to go to the appellate court, the court above the dependency court, to file that. And that's without getting a paid attorney. If you get a pro bono attorney, that may do that for you. But he's going to need to know, how the incident happened and what the allegations are. You said there's physical injuries. Were they caused by you or caused by a sport incident or something? I don't know. Um, I want to help you. I'm not an attorney, but all I can do is give you advice. Paying. Um, Let me know what else you need. I told you about how to find an attorney that can do your appeal. Um, I just told you you can. My broadcasts are recorded, so if you miss anything, you can hear me again. You can hear me again. Um, uh, you just need to find. You need to appeal, and you need to file that motion right away to preserve your rights because there's only so many days you can do an appeal on. You need to look it up. You just Google it. How to appeal a termination in a CPS case, and they will tell you on the internet. But one of the things I'm going to tell you is to get an attorney to do so. You need legal help on this. You are lost in this nightmare of a world you're in. I'm really sorry to tell you that. It's really hard on Mother's Day when you want to be with your children. To all your listeners listening out there, it's very important that you know that you are very careful when you deal with CPS. There's an image I want you all to look at. There were 8 social workers decided to get a T-shirt created that said on the front, "Professional kidnappers," and on the back it said, "Parents, do you know where your children are at?" This is the kind of mentality that social workers have. It's really sad. 8 had that. They had over 25 years of experience in CPS work. It was in Prescott, Arizona in the year 2022. And it was sad. It was really, really, really sad. Because that's what the mentality of most of the social workers have been that I've talked to and the people I've talked to. And I've talked to many, many places across the country and lots of people have been doing this for a long time. And I tell you, I've yet to hear really a success story. I've had some people come back and say what I told them worked, but I've yet to hear someone come on and said, "Hey, I just got investigated by CPS and I got myself off. I got an attorney and my kids were returned and nothing was factual about it." But it is hard. Pang, I appreciate you are in this room listening. If you want to call, you're still not too late to talk. There's still time left. There's about 10 minutes left. I'm at 626-698-0990. And if you need a talk to an attorney, which I think all you need to, you should call Vincent W. Davis. He does consultations for $60 for 30 minutes. He can reach at 888-888-6582. Make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. And when you speak to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. Um, and he'll go over the strategies of fighting CPS. And if you like what you hear, you might be able to retain him. He will fight for you. He's a fighter. You need an attorney that's a fighter here that knows CPS. He does. He has 35 years of experience. He's a trial attorney. So he helped get my 2 sons back. Um, the important things to remember, one thing I want to talk about is the Indian Child Welfare Act, ICWA. If you're a Native American Indian, um, you need to let CPS know right away. They should ask you, because instead of you deal with CPS, they'll turn you over to the Indian tribe and they will put you with the Indian family to get reunificated, and they're not in there for the money. The reason why this act was passed is that CPS was notorious about taking all the Indian children and adopting them away without giving a chance for the parents to get their children back. So this is a way to intercept that. This is how bad CPS is. It's another incident. In 78, they passed this act because they were constantly taking Indian children, putting them in foster care for adoption. It was really bad. So if you're an Indian, Native American Indian blood in you or your children, then you should uh, ask them, because they'll contact the tribe and see if you're registered. And if you're not registered, they'll register. You can try to be registered. So it's another avenue that will help you out there at the ICWA. Now, if your case has gone a couple steps and you want to introduce your drug testing that's been free for a year, or you completed your parenting classes, or completed your programs such as anger management, whatever, you can file what's called a 888 petition. It's a motion to the court that you want to make changes to your current plan or submit some new evidence. And that can be filed by an attorney. It can also be filed by you, but it's a lot of work. It may be called the different things in another state. They may not have the motion 888. It's a motion to change a current case plan. That's what you want to search. How do you file a petition, a motion to change a current plan? What happens when you file it with the judge, with that court? Within 30 days, they have a hearing, and then you got to argue your point to the court. Now, if you're represented by a public defender, you can't talk. You got to let the public defender. But if you want to talk, you can approach the bench and say, Your Honor, I want to drop my court-appointed attorney and defend it myself. And you can do that. It's a hard thing to do. But you have to understand, in dependency court, it's run by the judge, the bailiff, the clerk, and the attorneys. The social workers, the children's, you, the parents are peripheral. They are only asked when they're asked to talk so by the attorneys. So if you want to talk in court, you got to not have an attorney. You got to represent yourself. But that's also a bad thing too, because you're going to get seasonal attorneys, such as kids attorneys, social worker attorneys, and a judge that may be corrupt. My judge was corrupt, and it was a sad thing to deal with. There's no question about that. So anyway, you want to file a 388 petition, and that's another thing. Also, you need to read the health and welfare institution codes that are found on for each state. You need to go to the state CPS. You need to look up the health and welfare institution codes. The welfare and institution codes, not the health, I'm sorry, the welfare and institution codes. In California, 300, 325, 314. So you got to do that. It's getting close to my time. I could take a call if someone would like to call in, or is there another question, Pang, I can help you with? We have about 4 minutes left of the show time. Um, I don't want you to forget the 3 rules that I covered. You need an attorney to fight them. You need also a notebook to keep track of the information that's going to be coming at you. And then you need to say no to police and CPS. Don't let them in your home. Also, I wanted to add there's also medical trafficking lately. Parents are taking their children for help at urgent care, and because they don't want the things the doctor may say and they want to get another opinion, CPS steps in the way and tries to take the children. So be very, very careful taking them to hospitals you don't know. There is a CPS worker. They do try to talk, but they're not your friends. See, that's the whole problem. They've infiltrated. And also, if you're having a birth of a child, don't let the CPS workers in your room. Tell them to leave. Tell the hospital staff to get them out of your room. They'll come in and try to take your child. It's really gotten bad with medical trafficking. There's child trafficking that CPS does, and they get away with it. It's wrong. It is so wrong. We need to change the CPS system. And when allegations are reported, they should be in writing. They should be signed by the person sending it in. The confidential can be held, you know, quietly unless the incident proves to be a false allegation. And then they should be prosecuted because a lot of the lay people, your neighbor doesn't like the way the music sounds or doesn't like the dog barking or their bushes, they will call CPS on you just to make your life like like hell. It's ridiculous. They will do that. That's how mean people are. Or they will be jealousy among one family member and another that want to get your child. It's sad and sick that people are like that. When they grow up and do that. Yeah. Again, I want to wish all you mothers out there a happy Mother's Day. It's very hard on this day because so many of you are not with your children, and that's wrong. It is wrong. It's a time once a year, for mothers to celebrate their motherhood and the birth of their children and how well that they've tried to help out all their lives and how much you should appreciate them. It's the time of the year. They have a Father's Day and a Mother's Day, and the purpose is to honor those parents and thank them for all that they do. Thank them for all that they do. Um, there's less than 15 seconds, and I want to thank you all for listening. Pang, thank you from Fresno, California. I hope you're able to appeal your decision. It's a hard road ahead for you. And again, all your mothers, happy Mother's Day. God bless y'all. And this is Bob Pace signing off.